We'll edit this all in post. It's okay. We're not here yet. Don't worry. You might be seeing us on stream, but we're not here.
We're not here yet.
That's all. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Encounter Roleplay. My name is Will. I'm a D&D sex icon, and I'm here today with a brand new episode, a brand new series of Warhammer Fantasy 2nd Edition, Beneath Dark Boughs. We've got a full cast and crew with us. We've got plenty of Skaven around as well, so be on the lookout. But, my friends, let's go around the cast and crew. Let's figure out who we are and who we are playing tonight. We've got the wonderful Jim Davis as our Dungeon Master. Jim, how you doing, my friend?
I am doing great, not nervous in the slightest. I'm excited for real to get into some Warhammer, and y'all have made such a grim and stoic bunch of witch hunters that I'm curious to see what sort of trouble you'll get up into beneath these dark boughs.
See what you did there. I too am excited. So let's meet our characters. Let's talk to us a little bit about your characters as we go around here. But we've got Pruitt back of us tonight. Pruitt, it's been forever since we've chatted and roleplayed together. How are you?
Literally seconds, almost a minute. Yes. Hey, this is Act 2 of my 3-act day, and I'm excited to get to this. Get ready to play some Warhammer. Again, it's been far too long. I absolutely love this system. It is probably like right there with D&D as my favorite. And I will be playing a female elven archer named Alero Bowsinger. And we'll have to see what her deal is as soon as we get into the game.
Absolutely. Can't wait. We also have Charlie Frost from Fire with us tonight. Charlie, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm also excited. I'm very nervous because brand new system for me to be playing. I'm playing Yidris Richter. She's a bodyguard turned interrogator who is looking forward to hunting some truth and finding some witches. Or maybe the other way around.
Fuck yeah. Can't wait. We also have Alice with us tonight. Alice, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Also a bit like Charlie, not done this before, Warhammer. I'm really excited to get into it. He'll be a little bit terrified. I am playing a female dwarf called Nora Brannigan. And yeah, she began as a pit fighter and is now a bounty hunter out looking for witches.
Beautiful. And we also have, last and most least, Gareth with us tonight. Gareth, how you doing? How did you end up here again?
Already throwing shade. It's been 6 months, man. It's been 6 months, and now I'm back, stronger than ever. I'm revitalized, and I'm ready. It feels longer. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I'm going to be playing a rat who I've really channeled like a complete opposite to me. He's an ugly, smelly little halfling that really annoys people. He's called Rat. He is a rat catcher who's followed the full cycle of reincarnation. He's become a cat burglar. And he's just a bit of a smelly man.
Just a bit of a smelly man.
Who are you playing, Will?
Beautiful. I will be playing Matthias Hurst, who is the vampire hunter of our crew. He's a human, and he is here to destroy heresy in all forms, preferably via burning it. And anyone who dares even consider bringing heresy to my table. Not that Matthias has a table. He doesn't have a table. He travels a lot. If he did have a table, he burned that one a long time.
He's not allowed a table. We know what happened.
He has one of those like camping set-up tables that you just like pull out, and yeah, it's canvas. It's nice. But yeah, that's who I'll be playing today. Before we dive into today's game, I remind you guys that we're sponsored by Fantasy Grounds, a virtual tabletop of choice. Go over to fantasygrounds.com and you can check out their beautiful tabletop software that we'll be using today for some maps and some rolls and all that good shit. You'll be seeing that in a little bit. And of course, we're sponsored by dndice.co.uk. Go over to their website, save yourself 5% off some beautiful, sexy dice on their website over there. And of course, for all of your miniature needs, you can check out Wayland Games, who have 20% RRP off, including a lot of Warhammer miniatures. So if you're looking for some Warhammer minis, you're in the right place, my friends, because we're playing Warhammer right now. You can save yourself 20% off all of the line of Warhammer and 40k, D&D minis as well, Magic the Gathering cards. They got it all. They got it all. Before we dive into the game, I'll also remind you guys you can interact with today's show. If you haven't yet followed the show, hit the follow button and join us. I think when we hit 50 followers, you guys get to decide what happens next in our games. And of course, here is the tweet for you guys as well. 20 retweets, a viewer decision where you guys get to scribble a party a little bit. And of course, you can donate to affect the game, giving players Nat 1s, Nat 20s, wild magic surges, and worse. So without any further ado, I will hand over to our Dungeon Master for tonight, Jim Davis, to take us away beneath some dark boughs.
All right. So for anyone out there familiar with Warhammer and the Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, this is my own personal take on the setting. We find ourselves set in the year 2532, the Imperial calendar. The Emperor Wilhelm IV rules, the previous Emperor Karl Franz having been exposed as a doppelganger by a group of ne'er-do-wells and mercenaries and the like, in a saga that exposed an entire cult's worth of activity, placing doppelgangers in positions of power. This sparked a series of civil wars, both religious and political, known as the Storm of Chaos, which leads us to where we are now in the year 2532. This time of troubles is only 2 years past, and the Empire is tense and dangerous place. Bandits prowl the roads. Out-of-work mercenaries make camp in the woods and terrorize villagers. It is a time of tensions, a time of unease within the Empire. It's also late winter, and as we close in on the great city of Altdorf, its streets a mass of gray snow and lances of ice hanging off the slate-roofed awnings of its streets. Its cobblestones are curiously empty. There's a fortress there, not far from the Imperial plots. Its unadorned walls are rimmed with ice and frost. Its massive spires tower over the surrounding streets. And in these thick gray walls sits one Augustus Krupp, Hexenjager, and Lieutenant General of the Witchfinders. He has gathered a young apprentice of his to his office, Matthias Hurst. A fire burns. The winter's night is being kept out of the thin leaden glass in the windows. There's a rug upon the floor, and Augustus Krupp sits at a massive oak desk where Matthias and perhaps some of his associates are awaiting their summons. I think now's a good time to introduce our party of witchfinders, hunters.
So Matthias is 27, 28, scarred, missing a left eye from a beastman axe from years ago. He wears the traditional wide-brimmed hat of the witch hunter cells, and has the same traditional long overcoat that they wear to strike fear into the heart of the common folk. He has a great deal of pistols on his person, and probably about 4, just like strapped into leather holsters, and a sword on his hip as well. Even though they're like drinking whiskey by the fire, Matthias is all work and no play, and he's got ice cold blue eyes that have a knack at finding heresy in all people.
That they do. Who is? I'm curious to know, and I'll let the players decide whether they're in on this meeting or not. But who is accompanying Matthias for his meeting with Augustus Krupp?
Yidris would have quietly accompanied Matthias, not wanting to interfere too much with the meeting, but just a fairly constant and consistent presence with Matthias recently, when it comes to witch hunting at least. She's a little over 6 foot tall in dark leathers. Most of her things are elsewhere, but she still has with her, strapped across her chest, several throwing knives, which always catch the light, and a general look of just always watching. Even if she's not specifically looking at the person talking, there's an awareness with her always of knowing everything that's happening in the room.
Nice. So she's recently acquainted with our young witch hunter here. Who else finds themselves in this office? If not,
I
there
think
are plenty of places to amuse yourselves in the witch hunter's fortress.
I think Alero would also be with Matthias, has worked with him before, kind of probably since his early days. She's been around in this area, mostly staying away from humans, since being an elf, she's not very well taken in here. But she's dressed in your standard like greens and brown leathers, colors to blend into the forest. For the most part, she is a bit of a ghost. She doesn't like to speak a lot. She usually stays in the corner. More often than not, you find her wearing a white, like a white mask that has kind of a crack over the right eye and running down the side of it. And maybe Matthias has seen her face before, but probably no one else has actually seen her face. She doesn't usually take her mask off that often. But she would be there with her longbow strapped across her back, just kind of standing in the corner, keeping an ever vigilant eye on everyone.
All right. How about Nora and Rat? Will they accompany Matthias?
I'd say Nora was in there. They've crossed paths briefly before. As much as this lovely wood elf scout is in a corner, Nora sort of is, but very obvious about it. She's propped herself up against a wall. She only stands at 4'7", but is a very obvious presence in the room. She has a thick one braid all the way from the front of her head down the back, with copper hair and bright purple eyes, which are quite striking. She wears her two-handed axe on her back and makes it very obvious that she has it to people around to deter anyone. And she's probably just listening in and listening to the information she can, whilst she's probably got a dagger or something that she's just sort of twiddling between one of her fingers and the hilt.
Nice. Excellent.
I imagine Rat, in an act of defiance, said he was told that he couldn't bring the dog into the meeting, and quite literally he said, if the dog's not coming in, he's not going in either. So they just shut the door in his face and said, okay. So I imagine he's kind of opened up the door and is peering through from the outside. Rat is about 3'6". He's got a cloak which seems to be made up of like all different fabrics and stitched together, but they look really good quality fabrics, but there's not enough from any particular bolt of cloth to make the whole thing, so it's all stitched together. He looks unkempt. He has a big pole with dead rats on it. And he's also got a dog called Mullet, who you couldn't identify one single breed. It's a mixture of every single breed, and the dog also smells faintly of fish.
Nice. Nice. It is mere days before Hexensnacht, the witching night, which marks the beginning of the new year. The citadel that you find yourselves in, the witch hunter's fortress, is largely empty. A great many of the witch hunters are out preparing for the springtime expeditions that as they try to tame this uneasy land. Krupp has invited you here by personal invitation, Matthias, and he has a select assignment for you. Krupp himself is a well-kept, bookish man, scholar, before he became a witch hunter, and he approaches witch hunting from a very scholarly and detached point of view. Given the nature of witch hunting, it is a master and apprentice type relationship, and for whatever reason, he has chosen Matthias as his protege. to shape and to mold and to guide through the ranks of the witch hunters. And on this cold winter's day, he has asked you here. We have received word from further east in Talabek land. There is reports of missing loggers and the like. We would like to see if perhaps you could travel out there and discover what is going on.
It would be my honor to bring Sigmar's flame to any heresy that might be out there. Do you have any more information on this logging town?
It is east of the old forest road, between Badau and Horno. There's a new contract of some sort, a dwarven logging company. Two of their members have gone missing, and the foreman lodged a formal complaint. It was hand-delivered by a priestess of Varina, so we've taken it seriously. The whole area is rife with bandits and fanatics. It is a lawless place, far from civilization. He sort of gestures out the frost-covered window towards outside.
Yeah, these are dark times indeed, and in dark times, dark men walk the roads. Very well, I can take my bands there. See what we can find.
There should be a local, what are they now? Longshanks, named Ottokar. He keeps the peace amongst the villages for the most part, guards the holy sites and the like. I think I'm not sure why he's not involved, but perhaps you could speak with him.
Longshanks, I will. Is there anything else, Croc?
He stares into the fire as it burns low, and he's got a little snifter of brandy that he takes a sip from. The gloaming is ascendant on this one, and the signs, when I took them this morning, they were tricky, elusive. I would not be sending you on this if I didn't think there was something here for you to find. This is no simple kidnapping, I think.
You watch as Matthias's face sort of like sours a little bit. He doesn't like the talk of astrology and the talk of omens that much. I see. Well, if you think there is something there, then of course I will take a look at it and see what real evidence there is there to find.
Yes. The people there are, how shall we say it? Backwater. They are deeply devoted to Tal and Raya and their rural traditions. It is, I do not wish that there is heresy within the ranks of those priests and priestesses, but I cannot discount the signs, and my intuition tells me that you will find what it is at the heart of this corruption.
You have a better nose than a bloodhound for such things, Krupp, so I trust you in this. I will see what they are doing. I'll speak with the clergy and investigate. See if their practices are up to the codes. I will give them some leeway for being backwater folk, not from the city. They are not quite as refined as the people here. Nonetheless, they may very well be good people, but that is yet to be judged.
Yes, indeed. With that, he stands up, setting down his glass, and his eyes search from first Nora, then the door that he sees cracked, and then Yidris, and settles on Alero. Each one of them, you can feel sort of a calculating, sort of a penetrating gaze as he looks at you. And you trust everyone you have assembled here? He sort of speaks to Matthias without directly looking at him.
He looks at Yidris first of all. Idris I have traveled with for some time now. I trust her with my life, for there are none better on this earth who are able to seek out information extracted from a person. She knows the ways of the interrogation. She knows the tools of her trade better than any I've ever met.
Invaluable skill putting people to the question. He nods in Idris's.
Looks towards Alero, says, Alero, she can move unseen in places like the backwater that we'll be traveling to. Along the old road, there are none who can disappear better into the shadows than she. She'll be invaluable to us if there are heretics abound. Scouting ahead.
Excellent. I'm sure her skills will be quite invaluable in the forests of Talabekland.
Nora I've served with some time during my career as a bounty hunter. I would not wish to go toe-to-toe with her.
No, no. I think that axe is not just for show.
Quite, and do not get her started on her dwarven gods. And then there is my wild card.
Oh,
Rat.
I see no one.
Idris will go to the door and just slowly pull it open.
Ah. Hello there.
Rat will kind of stride in, puffing himself out to make himself look more important.
Krupp holds his hand out for Mullet to sniff. And who might you be? Addressing
My name
Rat.
is Rat.
Oh. Let's say, I'm sure there's quite a story behind that one.
I just spent a lot of my life living with rats. They didn't know what else to call me. They had no other reason to call me anything else.
Well, how appropriate then. I take it you have a special talent or something?
When you spend your life living in shit, you kind of can smell the worst in people.
Yes, indeed. Well,
I have saved Rat from a career which was less wholesome than the holy work he finds himself on now.
Excellent. Well, we all must find our calling however way we can. Krupp walks over to his desk, and on it is a small chest that he takes a key out. You hear the satisfying clunk as it opens. And inside are two large leather pouches, as well as what you notice as a large scroll case, like a leather-bound tube, the cap that removes off the end. And he pushes the whole chest towards the edge and gestures towards the group of you. Here you will find all that you need, badges, writs of attainder, as well as some funds to keep you in the field as long as you can. I suggest you secure lodgings at the most secure place that you'll find available out there. It is a quite insular community, and outsiders are not welcome. And he obviously lets you see the contents of the chest.
Just my own reference, Jim. Do you mind naming the village that we're going to?
The village
Or the area.
The village is going to be between the Frolic and Kolsa Hills. I will share a map on Fantasy Grounds. Dun, 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 dun.
Ooh.
I don't know what the resolution is on that for you guys. So if you're checking out this map, we will see Talabekland, or the Talabekim is the big city in the province, and you will be heading here, which is sort of in the middle of nowhere. Obelheim is the largest village in the area.
Okay.
And so Krupp continues. I've secured passage on the Emperor Leitbold. It will take you up the River Talabak. You will depart at Talgard and take the tunnelways coaching south along the old forest road. Shouldn't take you more than 30 days. It will be a long journey, but hopefully you will arrive just in time for spring and the beautiful flowers that you will see there. It is quite lovely, I hear.
Good. Then we best make our departure as soon as possible to reach our destination.
You have some time if you wish to make use of the services here at the fortress. Your vessel departs in 8 hours. Early morning.
Thank you, Krab.
And with that, he goes back behind his desk, and you get the impression he hasn't quite dismissed you, but he's done with whatever it is he had to tell you.
Mm-hmm. What was the name of the guy, the Longshanks you mentioned?
Autocar. Yes.
Autocar, thank
I
you.
will type it in our private chat.
Ooh.
All right.
I'll keep looking
Yes,
between
all
Matthias and the badges, waiting for permission to pick one up.
Okay. Yes, they're just sitting there all out in the open.
Yeah, I motions to everyone to grab a badge, grab a writ.
Yeah, so the badges are like a tin sort of. They're not fancy or anything. It's like you can wear it on a shirt, or it fits around a chain, but it bears the seal, the heraldic seal of the witch hunters.
Yidris
But
will
you
move
know-
from.
Go ahead.
She'll move from by the door that she was holding open so Rat could come in. She'll collect the badge and the writ and kind of tuck it into a kind of a side pocket. And she'll offer out her hand to the witch master.
Okay.
What was his full title? Sorry, it was Witch Finder or Witch Hunter?
He's Lieutenant General Witchfinder.
Lieutenant General, right? Augustus
General.
Fancy
Grip, right?
title. Augustus Krupp.
Okay, so she'll offer out her hand to him.
He looks up from what he's doing and shakes it. It is good to see you here, Yidris. We need more people of skill and determination to fill our ranks if we are to bring order to this land.
I will do my best. You spoke of the gloaming omen. Tell me,
Yes,
Witchfinder,
indeed.
which omen is it you fear the most?
The gloaming is tricky. It suggests deception and duplicity. It is not the worst. Perhaps the duplicity is merely a misunderstanding, but it is worth investigating. The omens I fear the worst, though, are those of the ruinous powers, who hold sway over a great many minds and hearts and bodies of our great nation.
And those are the omens we shall watch for.
Indeed.
And she'll withdraw her hand and move out of the way so the rest of the party can do as they wish.
Okay.
Nora sort of strides over, grabs the writ and the badge, and roughly just sort of puts it on her, obvious to see, and slaps it a couple of times to make sure it won't fall off.
Mhm.
And wanders over to Augustus Krupp and just sort of says, well, I'll see what I can do for you.
That is all we ask. Keep our Matthias safe and return yourself.
Matthias doesn't need any help staying alive, but I'll definitely stick by him. And she just sort of
Indeed.
strolls off and resumes her spot against the wall.
Okay. Anyone
Matthias
else?
nods, which is the closest he gets to a smile.
Such a grim group.
Rat eagerly puts his badge on and kind of salutes the Witchfinder General. Thank you, Your Majesty. And he walks away.
You're
And
welcome.
finally, Alera will glide over to the the chest and take the badge out and stuff it away like in her like leather jacket. And if he looks up, she will make eye contact and just give him a slight nod of the head, and then turn back and move behind Matthias, ready to follow him out.
He just, he regards you rather not with like disdain, but he also clearly, I don't know, maybe hasn't a lot of experience with elves, and so he just sort of nods as you acknowledge the taking of the badge. Let's see. And then who has the 2 leather satchels?
Are they the writs of attainment?
Those are something different. That is your funds for this expedition. They are.
I look very pointedly at Rat. I think I will look after these.
I can help one. They look heavy.
They are not.
They are quite heavy. You can
Yeah,
you can tell. And 2 reinforced leather satchels. You see, just even like peeking in them, there are newly minted gold crowns in there. And the Krupp is writing, doing something, working on his correspondence. Be careful with those. The writs of attainder give you the right to seize anyone's property, enter any home you wish, do anything that you wish. They are quite powerful and the most effective tool in the witch hunter's arsenal. But there are a great many who will resent the intrusion. Use them wisely. And with that, he just is ignoring you as he goes about his work.
If I sort of moves, stalks out of the office and heads to our I guess we have like a common room that we all share.
So the fortress itself has a lot of different areas in it. Right now, you are in the offices, which are usually they're where the high ups of the witch hunters maintain a base of operations, and then many of them have secret corridors coming and going to them, so their agents don't have to walk through the regular halls. But there's also a library and archive where pretty much copies of every imperial decree or law or pretty much anything that's written within the empire will eventually, a copy of it will find its way there. There's also a gymnasium, a commissary where there is a dining hall and a kitchen and the like, as well as a quartermaster. And then there's, of course, a chapel, where a Sigmarite chapel that's maintained on premises, as well as the dungeons and vaults, which are indeed extensive underneath the fortress. So that's kind of any of those areas. Your badge will allow you to visit and move freely about the fortress for the next 8 hours, if you like.
Okay. I think Matthias heads to our sort of common rooms away from the offices and probably like pulls over the map a little bit and planning our route. If the group are with me, say, so what do we all think? You just usually have good insight on this. Sound interesting?
Jim, over the winter, have we had any rumors about the roads between us and Oberheim? Is that what it was called? Oberheim?
Yes. Yeah. Oberheim is kind of the next one. Yeah, the Old Forest Road, lying as it does between 2 sets of hills and being remote as it is home for all manner of bandits and the like, particularly now that there are a lot of out-of-work mercenaries who, rather than returning home, are just making camp wherever they are and, becoming bandits. So most travel up and down there is done on armed coaches, and then road wardens will keep the peace as much as they can, but there's only so much they can do.
With the winters here, are they particularly harsh and make travel treacherous, so people bunker in, or is it kind of moderate weather?
In remote places like where y'all are headed, they just hunker down and wait the winter out. Where you're at, the winter is not particularly harsh. There's a lot of snow, but it's not enough that the major rivers have iced over or anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, the witch finder told us we would have 30 days and it would be spring by the time we reach. So we will have to keep our ears open for any rumors about the movements of the various travelers we may encounter. Because it is likely they won't be where we believe them to be now.
So winter is one of the most dangerous times to travel in the old forest. Alero, you know those woods better than any of us. What do you suggest?
I suggest we take our time. I will keep my eyes out, and I do know that you do not see much value in the signs, Matthias. But the gloaming sun is nothing to be trifled with.
I do not believe in the portents and omens. But if you say I should be wary, I will listen to your words, Alero.
She inclines her head.
Nora, is that axe sharp?
Oh, it's very sharp. To be honest, I just want to get on with it.
Understood. And Rat, have you ever left the city?
I don't know the countryside. They're all weird. Everyone's they're in their in-groups.
Yes, you told me that you have a lot of family in the places like that. Any of your kin down that way?
I'd almost say yes. My family, you've probably met 3 of them today. We tend to get around, if you know what I mean.
I did walk by a sewer grate on my way here.
I find that offensive. I think I'm the only one that's going to rat cats in. That I've got family that are nobles. I've got family that are innkeepers. I've probably got families that are witch hunter. Well, that's me really. I'm a witch hunter now, and I show my badge really proudly. That what is everyone on about these omens for? Do they think they know something's going to happen?
They think they do, but Rat, I do not believe in them. They are portents and signs, but I say that they are closer to hedge magics than Sigmar's holy bird.
That the machinations of the celestial are beyond some, but if you observe, you will notice coincidences. Things that line up. They can guide you.
So, if there's a red moon, it could be dangerous. I've heard of a blood moon before.
Yes, I do recommend you hunt during the blood moon. You will be able to sneak upon your prey more easily.
So how come you believe it and Matthias doesn't? Matthias seemed pretty clever.
Because we are all individuals, made up of different experiences that has brought us to this place in life.
Rat kind of nods with absolutely no comprehension of what you just said. That makes sense.
You, while y'all are in this common area, discussing this latest meeting, 2 of the staff basically around here hurry by a door. You can see one of them is carrying a large sack, just sort of making a lot of noise out in the hallway as they run by.
Also, I want to quickly thank here Edmund Silveroak for the Nat 20 for Alice, and Gaming Din gave all the humans a crit success and all the stunties and pansies a critical failure.
Oh no!
For every enemy without there are 100 within. Thank you, my friend.
It is okay. He is merely a mayfly.
Always asking for it. If there's like sounds of someone running outside with a lot of, you said that, Jim? Sorry.
Yeah, you see 2 of the staff. They're wearing the livery of the household staff of the fortress, and one of them is carrying a large sack, like a big burlap sack, as they run past.
Matthias holds up one gloved finger for them to stop.
This sort of like, sorry, so sorry. Yes.
Where are you going?
That's the kitchens. The kitchen.
What are you carrying?
And they sort of like wipe their grubby hands off on their shirts. What's that,
What are
Master?
what are you carrying?
It's a flour for the the gingerbread.
Do not run in this castle. Walk, please.
Of course, yes, Master. Yes. And they very slowly, and then like, picking up speed, walk away from Matthias.
He sits in
Can Nora
silence
just
and looks
sort of sorry. Nora
No,
just
go
sort
ahead.
of go over to Rat and be just like, I like dogs. Can I stroke him?
Yeah, just try and wash your hands afterwards. He gets about and he likes eating stuff.
Yeah, she sort of kneels down and is sort of wary of the dog at the same time and just
As soon as you
That's
get
it.
on his level, he will lick your face.
oh
I think he likes
Okay.
you.
he's like, I think he does too.
Not normally people spit on him, so anyone that kneels down and gives him a stroke, he's a fan of.
And she just sort of like wipes her face a little bit and flicks away the saliva.
Did those other people say they were going to the kitchens?
I think they did, yeah.
I don't think that Mullet's eaten today. We might sneak along to the kitchens and steal some gingerbread.
Can I like call him and follow where the people just ran off to?
Yeah. Are you trying to sneak after them? Are you trying to stay hidden, or
Yeah,
Do you care?
I'll do it stealthily. If I think I'm up to no good, I think I should probably sneak around.
All right, so we're going to make our first die roll, ladies and gentlemen. So this is going to be an agility test. You're going to want to roll low on a D percentile. And
Right,
you
here we
might
go.
want to check your skills and talents to see if you have something that's relevant. You maybe have a skill that lets you
Are
sneak
we
better.
underground at this time?
You are in an you're in an interior building, but you're not underground.
But we're not underground. I get a bonus when up in underground locations.
Okay.
But that's about it. So let's give an agility roll. First roll, don't mess it up. 69. Oh, God. That is a failure.
So I guess Nora has worked up Mullet enough that Mullet's like following along, yipping after you as Rat tries to sneak down the hallway.
Mother, I've
Might
told you,
bark like a
if you
dog.
want some dinner, I know you're hungry.
This is-
Can I? Have they noticed me? Can I still try and like? Did they turn round or did anyone see?
the one following behind just kind of like cocked his head as you were coming back, but they seemed sufficiently intimidated by Matthias that they want to get out of here pretty quick. They didn't mean to disturb y'all.
I'll just continue following along.
Okay, so Rat is following the two staff to the kitchen. What about everybody else? You guys do have a while before your the river barge takes off. If anyone has, ooh man, I'm gonna have to remember these rules that we are using. I believe it's common knowledge empire.
Humans do.
Humans have
humans
that.
can have that, yeah.
Okay, so the humans can make me that roll. That is against your intelligence, I believe.
Yeah. Let's try that. Let's just draw two of these.
29.
That is a success from Matthias on a 15.
There you go.
Wait,
and,
no, it's a 69. I'm being dumb.
Oh, yes. That's like 15. Great. But Yidris got a 29, yes?
Yeah, versus 36.
Gotcha. So, yeah, anytime, so we're going to learn some rules here for a minute as well. Anytime you make a successful roll, for every 10 points that you roll under your score, so if you'd say rolled a 26 instead of a 36, that's a degree of success. And so there's sometimes whenever we make opposed rolls that we're going to have to count our degrees of success in order to figure out which one of us is the victor in that roll. In this case, you're making it against just your base your base characteristic. So Yidris knows that the Emperor Leopold is a luxury river barge. It is usually reserved for nobility that are traveling up and down the river Talabek, as well as the river Reich. But this time of year, it makes runs up and down the Talabek between Altdorf, which is where you're at, and Talabekheim, which is about just under 300 miles upriver. You're going deep into the backwoods of the Empire.
It's a rather expensive boat that the Witchfinder General, whatever his title was, has hired for us. I wonder how Rat will fare on the river. And she's just watching Rat just making the worst, attempt at being subtle and following people towards the kitchens.
Yes.
Matthias raises an eyebrow and stays at the table.
Hera just shakes her head, just like.
How about is everyone else? Are y'all staying in the in kind of the? It's sort of like a lounge is the best way to put it. You just have an area in the fortress that you can spend time in. Or y'all going to do some exploring of the various parts?
Yidris will kind of sit down opposite Matthias with his maps out and things, and she'll pull out some cards from her pocket and begin laying them out and kind of musing over what supplies they may need. And she'll also promise that she's not jumping in if Rat falls in the river. She is not his babysitter on this trip.
Agreed.
No.
I think Rat can look after himself, and if he cannot, well, then it is Sigmar's will that he doesn't.
Nora sort of just plonks herself down somewhere, and if there's like a fairly comfy chair available, and then very loudly drags a smaller table or another chair close enough that she can just dump her boots on top of it and just sit back and relax and wait.
All right. And then how about Alero?
Alero will position herself where no one is to her back and go over the map with Matthias, planning the route, what to avoid. Coming up on spring, there's going to be a lot of melt. These trails usually get more muddy than these, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Springtime is going to be particularly difficult. Alero knows, just because the melting snow just creates a quagmire underneath the trees with rotting leaves and dead pine needles and mud, all making a rather treacherous terrain.
I had a horse one spring get swallowed by the bog.
Yeah.
I miss our tech.
It's too bad. So it sounds like
it is a very
most of
slow
y'all
and
are.
painful death. But when one is stuck, one generally will eventually reveal the truth in order to be saved.
This is true.
I would suggest we will need some better protections for the road, although perhaps nothing too heavy, lest one of us gets stuck.
So if I understand everybody, Rat is the only one heading outside of the room that you're in, although Yidris, you're making sort of a list of the materials and supplies that you might need.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what Rat's up to then. As the rest of the group sort of goes over the map and plans the route and everything, what they're going to need. Rat, you find yourself on the way to the kitchen, yes?
Yes, kind of. I've turned my sneak into a stride now, like I'm meant to be there.
Gotcha. They seem, they're kind of slow going because they are sort of both carrying this heavy sack of flour. But they make their way down through the offices and across a very frigid walkway between battlements into the building that houses the kitchens and the commissary and the dining hall. And as you enter in, you're immediately assaulted by the pleasant smell of baking gingerbread wafting from the kitchens.
What you making, guys? What's cooking?
As you follow them in and ask them, you see two humans, the ones carrying the the flour, and then a rather frustrated and red-faced halfling ordering them about and trying to deal with the barely controlled chaos that's going on in this kitchen. And they all three turn and look at you. Are you? What are you? Are you lost?
No, I'm a witch hunter, and I show my badge.
Oh,
Yeah, I think you're cooking for me. Me and my dog are hungry.
well, we've got some porridge over there. If you'd like that, help yourself. But right now he looks around at there's a pile of ruined cookies in one corner and a bunch of baking materials everywhere. One of them's covered in old flour and such. Unless you can lend a hand. He looks sort of like you're not going to say yes.
You trust me to cook?
Well, they look at you. Is Mullet still with you?
Yeah, he's just on my heel.
Perhaps I misspoke. Porridge over there?
I think I heard myself. What's in that sack, by the way?
They heave it onto the table, and it's a big cloud of flour puffs up. It's flour for baking.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to eat that. Listen, I've got to go to the countryside. I'm off to a new place. Do you know anything about it?
Where are you headed?
It's called... I can't read my writing.
Cavanagh Hills?
Obelheim?
Obelheim.
Nobleheim, there we go. Sorry.
Yeah, the village of Obelheim. Franz over here, he knows, and you see one of the two who was in the hallway earlier carrying the sack of flour. He looks sheepishly at you and seems oddly intimidated by you. Like he doesn't want to meet your gaze. He's sort of like, yes, sir. I've been to I've been to the old forest.
Are there any witches there?
I mean, I didn't see any.
You have to tell me the truth. I'm a witch hunter.
I kind of raise my voice at him.
He's like, I don't. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I never. No, I didn't see any witches. There are lots of cunning folk and the like there. But no witches that I saw. No, sir. He looks nervously.
Is there anyone important there you can give me the name of that I can look clever in front of my friends by knowing the name of?
Oh, I used to for a time I was a serving boy at the at Boughs, the inn in Leshik.
And what's the name of the barman there? That'll make me look clever. Who owns the inn?
Name of the barman? And he sort of like struggles for a second. There's a halfling chap, I think. Oh, like much like yourself and Jens. He gestures towards the cook. Thilo was his name. Yes.
Thilo. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for being a service to the witch hunters today.
And I'll load up I'll kind of fill my, I'll open the cloak and just start shoveling these burnt cookies in. And nod at them and then just wander back.
Yeah, Jens, the halfling cook, gives you a nod of approval. Says, they're not the best, but unless you're sticking around later, I can always have some brought to you. Most of them don't want any.
You wouldn't believe what I've eaten before.
And I just smile and walk off.
Okay. They look utterly dumbfounded. They hopefully, usually when a witch hunter comes down here, it's for something not pleasant. Rat's gone for a while. Where actually, to stick with Rat for a minute, where do you go with your bag of burnt cookie bits?
I'll just be kind of chucking them up in the air for Mullet as I'm walking back, kind of whistling like I've done my job, like I set out to accomplish a task and I've done it.
Okay. The rest of you notice that Rat is gone for some time. Y'all are still planning your route?
I don't think we bother about Rat.
He always turns up.
Yeah, he turns
It's like a
up
bad
at some
smell,
point.
just
like a
always
bad
wafts back in.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at this point we're like, deep into, we're probably on like the latest. There's got to be like a witch hunter like newspaper, right? And like Matthias is going through like the daily witch or whatever, or the Daily Star of Sigma, and they're talking about new interrogation techniques, and he's probably talking with Idris about the best way to cut a man open or something like that. So see, I
You're
really
just
think you
like
you
leaning
have to
across, drawing
vivisect.
diagrams.
It's very important, the vivisection. See, with this method, I don't think that's going to really work.
But you see, if you take the hook and you dive into the sternum just here underneath, and she's like miming, and then she'll draw a diagram if he doesn't follow exactly what she's saying.
No. I suppose maybe if we'll get a chance to test this out in Obelheim, if we do find any traitors, and truly we can put it to the test. The Daily More, very good. Very good.
Okay.
I'd say Nora's got up at this point and probably wandered over to the table to survey the maps and things as well. But as they start talking about really technical and fiddly sort of like interrogation bits, she just sort of almost blanks out, blank stares at them, doesn't really connect with what they're saying at all. To her, it's you go and hit them and then you've got it. So
why all the fuss?
Exactly.
I suppose at some point Rat does return, and
does he?
Yeah, it's not that far.
I'll stride in.
Okay, so we want to head to this place called the Sec. There's a bar called the Boughs, and the barman's called Celo. He'll give us some more information when we get there. You're welcome.
Where did you find this out?
Rat can find things out. I learn things pretty quickly.
But where?
Where is the kitchen?
So you did go to the kitchen. I thought I saw you sneaking off earlier.
Do you want a biscuit?
I don't know. Have you touched it?
Well, I tapped it around it.
I'll chuck her a biscuit.
It's just like she sort of just catches it, looks at it, and this is burnt, isn't it? This is like she sort of
it's
sniffs
like the
it. She doesn't quite put it to her mouth. She's like, "I'll save it for later," and she just pops it like in a pocket, trying not to upset him, but at the same time, there's no way she's gonna put that anywhere near her mouth.
And then kind of Rat will smile to himself, thinking he's done a really good job, and he'll just go to bed and fall asleep immediately.
Before Matthias can even hope to compliment him, Rat is asleep, and then Matthias thinks better of it. Goes back to
I just have this.
Go ahead.
I just have this image of Rat curling up under the coffee table with Mullet next to him, and they're just like our two pets under the table, quietly snoring to themselves.
But both flicking their ears and running in their sleep.
He turns around a few times where he sits down.
Running on the spot.
No, don't take cookies. No.
No.
And, at a certain point, Matthias will probably turn in as well if it's late,
Yeah, when you were meeting, it's sort of like late afternoonish. I mean, of course, the sun was setting at an earlier hour, but most of the preparation that's going on around here is for the upcoming Hexensnacht, both in terms of the celebrations that the staff observe and the fact that Witching Night is usually a night where witch hunters are quite busy. And so the honor guard around here that garrisons the fortress is preparing for some sort of calamity or disturbing event.
Do we know if there's...
Sorry, I keep it.
No, you go. You go.
Matthias probably walks the walls a little bit. If there are a lot of people on guard, he probably stalks around the freezing cold
Yeah.
Wall Street.
Yeah, like I said, it's a fairly full garrison. The fortress itself is in the middle of the city, so the garrison is largely there to react to threats that originate within the fortress. But it's otherwise, other than the battlements and the guard rooms, the halls of the fortress are empty, and your footsteps echo through the stonework halls.
I kind of imagine it like that first scene in Macbeth where the guards are up on the misty battlements and they keep hearing voices and saying things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're all twitchy.
Would we know if there is some sort of commissary or like armory or something where we could acquire additional supplies within the fortress, or is it something we would have to get out of the fortress?
No, the fortress is designed to be self-sufficient that way. And more than one occasion has closed itself off from a riot or something in the city to act as a bulwark. So it has its own stores, its own armory, its own basically, they call it the chapter store, is what they call it.
So before people disappear for the night, Yidris will take a list for everyone and she'll go about collecting any supplies people specifically want. For example, Yidris would pick up a few extra armor pieces for herself because she knows it's obviously a dangerous journey that she's going on. And then anything anyone else wants, she'll make a note and go about arranging.
Okay.
Alero will go with her just because Alero likes to pick her arrows out one at a time to make sure. She's like looking down them like a pool cue, like making sure they're straight.
All right.
It takes her a while. She's
I
very
bet.
particular. She's very particular. But then after, she'll go and brush her horse down, Sophia. And since we're probably going to depart in the morning.
It's early morning that you'll depart, yeah.
Yeah. She wants to make sure that her horse is ready and fed and ready to go.
Okay. So Alero and Yidris head to the commissary to visit the quartermaster of Altram, who is there, and he basically is just watches over the entire stock of the witch hunters fortress. He can help you. He seems friendly enough. Like most of the staff around here, they are pleasant if a little guarded, and don't reveal too much about themselves. But you are shown racks of weapons and various suits of armor that can be adjusted as needed to fit you better by the armor smiths there. It's an involved process. Takes a while, but like I said, Alero is spending some time inspecting each arrow. Anything else you do while you're in the commissary or anything? Anyone else you want to talk to or visit? Okay. Anything else? All right. If that's it, the night passes relatively uneventfully. The beds here are warm enough, and perhaps for some of you are perhaps maybe some of the warmest and driest beds you've slept in a long while. But it's safe and it's warm, and the snow falls and howls outside as the night passes, and you wake cold, dark, and ready to start your journey. Any last things as you depart the Witch Hunter's Fortress and head upriver?
I think Matthias checks in with everyone just to make sure we've all got our equipment and our badges of attainment and writs and stuff like that. Probably gives Rat one last dressing down about being in the field and how we're going to behave, and yeah, then he's good.
Right. There is a chill in the air that cuts straight to the bone, and even though in these dying days of winter, it still can dump an incredible amount of snow, and you trudge through about foot deep, freshly fallen powder as you make your way from the fortress to the riverside docks there in Altdorf. Let's see. The city sleeps this early in the morning, with only the bakers and some of the people who are out trying to clear the streets as best they can, being the only other people that you encounter. Even the beggars and cut purses and sneak thieves and the like stay in on a night like this. You find yourself, breath escaping from you in great steaming puffs, working your way across the city towards the riverbanks. The Emperor Leopold is a massive, if at this point dated, luxury river barge. It is, mostly be pulled upriver by teams of horses, and it's a slow-going process, but you will travel in relative comfort and worry-free environment. No river pirates or the like will attempt to take something this big. And you can see there in the morning, early, that a small procession of people are having their papers checked as they board the river barge before it departs. Of course, porters are there loading up luggage and the rest that's going to go into stowage as well.
Yeah. Fast will jump on board and find any quarters that are available and like throw the sacks of equipment down so he doesn't have to carry it the whole time.
Yeah. Someone comes along and starts taking things up. What's that?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, as Nora walks on, to anyone who's looking at papers or anything like that, she just taps her badge and keeps on going. Not really wanting to talk to anyone, but wants people to know who she is, so they won't.
Oh yeah, Matthias definitely gives everyone like long, hard glances beneath the dark, little long-brimmed hats.
Yeah, you guys approach out of the frosty morning, and it's just a bunch of like local gentry and the like who are traveling between the two cities, and most of them, as they see you, they naturally kind of draw themselves up. They stop talking, whatever conversation they had going as they were waiting in line ceases, and they kind of straighten themselves up and exchange nervous glances with each other as soon as the party of witch hunters arrives.
You'll take us to our destination. You'll not talk to us unless you're spoken to. That is all.
We got the attendant checking both tickets and badges. It's like, of course, master. If you will see Heinrich, and he snaps his fingers, then Heinrich will show you to your quarters, and we will be away shortly. And you see a teenage boy run up and, visibly taken aback by the party that he is asked to escort to their quarters.
And Lara will bring out her badge and just show it briefly and then put it away.
Okay. So what's everybody else's impressions and first, your initial reactions as you board the Emperor Leopold?
Rat is just kind of staring. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead first.
Rat is kind of staring like a kid in a candy shop. He's never, like, I imagine there's luxury, there's carved wood, there's fabrics, which is, he's just entered an entire world that he doesn't understand, and he's just absolutely open-jawed, staring at everything. And especially as he hears Matthias get called master, that like stops it in his tracks.
This is amazing. Do we always get this?
When we are doing holy work, rats, you are rewarded.
No one spat on me. They look me in the eye. Well, kind of.
We're traveling for 30 days, right? Give them some time.
Perhaps the spit has not reached you yet.
I'll see, they're gonna spit. Okay, I knew it's too good to be true.
And he just kind of tugs on beside Matthias's cloak and just looks at.
Thank you. I don't say it often, but thank you.
And he gives him a little smile and then carries on staring at everything.
He nods once.
Nora boards
Nora boards.
Nora
Okay.
boards looking at, like, in particularly the very well-dressed people, which I'm assuming the more noble ones, and just sort of
Some
tries
of
to
them are
give them
quite scandalized.
I'll say, give them a stern look, as if like she's not recognizing their higher class or authority, doesn't really care. But at the same time, as much as she's trying to keep on this hard appearance, she's keeping an eye on Rat, because she doesn't, one, she's almost concerned as to what he's going to run off and do, and two, concerned that he's making it very obvious at how excited he is to be here, even though he's supposed to be professional right now. So she's keeping, like, almost like not actually holding on to his shoulder, but if, you know, almost like metaphorically, she is following him like a shadow.
I got you. There's a palpable sense of that you get from some of the nobility and minor gentry that are here, of sort of both who in the world, you know, just sort of disgust and disdain, as well as fear. You know that writ that you carry is worth more than their title, basically.
So do I see this? Do
they
I
know
see
it.
this sort of how they can look at us in a bit of disgust almost?
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, Nora will just look at them and be like, "What you looking at?"
It's a trio of nobles who are in front of you, two women and a man, and the women turn away from you. The man, human, typical Reiklander nobility. You're not looking at anything, simply observing the Emperor's finest witch hunters as they do their work. And he gives you a curt nod.
Matthias like totally backs Nora up as soon as it seems like there's someone else to glare at. You know, Matthias is suddenly behind her, like also glaring at this person
over the shoulder,
like the hype man he is.
Like,
and
even though
guy...
she's only like 4 foot nothing, she tries to puff herself out as big as she can, and almost like as if she squares up to him. She's like, "Good, you should recognize us when you see us," and then just walks on.
This candy ass noble with his toy sword just sort of seems flustered and embarrassed as he meant no offense. Please enjoy your trip.
Question for Will: like, how does Yidris like act with nobles around? Because I know that she's got like a thing.
She seems weirdly like at home on this boat. This is the sort of situation she's been in many times, and despite being ridiculously tall and, you know, quite broad and strong, she kind of seems to just fade into the background and is just watching everyone. And there's this distinct feeling, if anyone catches her eye, that she's probably noticed something, and that will make them very uncomfortable, because you don't want to know what the witch hunters know about you. But she's kind of fairly passive. She's just there. She's just waiting for them to move on, basically, not getting sucked into the power play going on.
Yeah, young Heretic, seeing that half his group, I think probably at this point it's Alero and Rat who are continuing to follow him to the quarters. It's like, I don't. Is everything okay? These rooms here are yours. Quite spacious. I can go
thank
find
you
the others.
for showing. I'm sure that they will find their way over when they are done interacting with the locals. They should have their fun.
Okay. All right. And if he sees, like, for a half second, he's about to ask for a tip, and then he walks away. And he runs out of view.
I'm gonna find my room and, you know, set up and let them take us away for this 30-day trip.
Yeah.
If Heinrich comes running past Yidris, she'll literally just stick a hand out and stop him. We do not run on boats, and just withdraw her hand.
Of course, ma'am. Of course.
I'm not approving.
All right. Yeah. he's too scared.
Like,
to...
someone said in chat, but we're like the lifeguards.
No running on the
pool.
No running.
No running.
He's got his
Guys, we're just a
whistle.
bunch of
Nice
witch
calls out a
hunters,
couple
but just a
of heavy
rules
petting.
lawyer anyway.
I sit on a crow's nest like it's one of the like when they're all like watching from above on the cliff.
Get
You
your
got a
whistle
joke
out.
because it's a grim world. So
I'm now imagining a
Emperor-
witch hunter's hat and a pair of leather speedos.
yes. The Emperor Leetpold has seen better days, but it is a fine river-worthy vessel, and you find your quarters spacious and perhaps more luxurious than you are used to as you get settled in and the river journey begins. The whole trip upriver is monotonous, slow going. There's a great many times that you make very little progress in a day, as an ice dam or portion of the river that has frozen over has to be broken up and removed as you travel upriver. Perhaps that happens once or twice on the journey. Most people keep to themselves, and the way that your quarters are situated, you easily go a day or more without seeing anyone else. The various porters and servants come by to deliver food and take away what waste that you have. And of course, the decks are open, but it is quite cold as you journey upriver. You find that for the most part, these are provincial nobles who are wishing to return to their estates after having wintered in the big capital city, wishing to return to their estates before spring hits so that they can oversee the planting of crops and the taking of the annual spring census and the like. But a great many of them give you a wide berth, and unless you go looking for trouble, the journey upriver, which lasts some 20 days, is uneventful, boring, and cold.
Since Yidris is kind of a snooper in her own special way and would occasionally kind of patrol the boat, does she come across any notable names? Even though you said these were kind of country nobles, does she overhear any notable names or anything that might be useful to mentally make notes of?
Yeah, you recognize some of the names. There are people who are own estates in both Talabek land as well as the Reichland and other of the central provinces of the empire. But nothing jumps out at you as particularly noteworthy or necessarily connected with the region that you're headed to. Most of the names seem to pertain to nobles who are either further east or they're getting off at Talabekheim and going to their secondary homes there for a while. Give me an idea. Everybody else, give me an idea. What y'all do for 20 days on your river barge trip? How do y'all pass the time?
I think Nora would probably follow Yidris around. Not to look, though. She'd be doing it so that if there was anyone walking around, she would not keep an eye on Idris because she knows she's very capable, but at the same time quite likes the fact that some of these people seem pretty terrified of her. So she's just sort of walking around and keeping up the presence of them all on the boat to make sure that people know they're there.
Yeah. Make sure that they're reminded who they're traveling with.
Yeah, if she sees those nobles again, she will make eye contact and follow them until they walk past, just to, strike a bit more fear into them.
Yeah, what was the one's name? Oh, I don't know that I named him. I forgot. He that one in particular that you found as you were boarding the boat. Like every time y'all are in the same room, he's just leaves as fast as he can.
She normally, as he does this, she's always got a smile on her face, just sort of yeah, keep going.
Yeah.
I imagine that Matthias will probably keep himself to himself as in his own quarters and like summon anybody via Heinrich, who becomes like his own personal porter. To if he ever needs to like speak with someone about something.
Heinrich's actually a sharp little lad, and whatever you ask him to do, he gets it done, whether from fear or just moxie. It's difficult to tell.
Yeah,
What's
Matthias
that?
is happy with either.
Alero would find the best place to look out from the Emperor Leopold. The best place to post up, and she pretty much spends every day up there, just like scanning the horizon, keeping lookout. She prefers the solitude, no one judging her. So,
yeah. So, starting out, the river Talabek winds its way roughly west to east, through the central heart of the empire. It also cuts through the heart of the Great Forest, which runs the entire length of Talabek land itself. So those of you who sort of like Alero that are out and on the decks, you see just an ocean of trees of all different sorts, snow-capped at this time of year. But you can see further south that it's less so. You pass by the great hill of Middenheim. The river sort of flows past it. Not too long ago, the city of Middenheim and Altdorf were at war with each other over both religious and political differences. And along the way, little towns, river locks where they take a toll. There are trading villages, fishing villages, all sorts of little villages and hamlets dot the riverbanks as you travel the 260 some odd miles towards the big city of Talabheim. It is slow going, and for Alero at least, it's quite cold, but you get a feel for this place. And I'm not sure when the last time you found yourself in the Great Forest, but as you gaze across the vast expanse of forest, dotted occasionally by a bald hilltop or pierced by a castle or monastery of some kind, you're sort of drawn back to that primordial realm from whence Alero comes from.
Yes, just like home.
By the way, Jim, we have a viewer decision here at 50 followers,
Nice.
so you can throw someone at us.
All right, I want to know what the party is going to find on the road from Talgard to the village of Obelheim.
Ooh,
That's what I'd like
nice.
to know.
Nice.
Chaos.
So on one of the final nights of our journey, Yidris will kind of gather everyone in the cabin, and they'll play a really humorless and serious drinking game over cards. And she won't explain the rules to anyone. They're just playing it, and the look on her face is she takes this so seriously. Like, it's one of those, don't question me, this is what we're playing. If you don't know how to do it, learn it fast.
Nice.
Because she's kind of dogged up her book and like papers she was reading through, and she's kind of cornered Heinrich to go and get her the best vodka equivalent. I don't know what Warhammer vodka would be.
Vodka.
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 Vodka. Bring me the vodka, Heinrich. And so that's what she would do on one of the last nights.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And he goes, there's plenty of stores from Frozen Kislev where they make vodka. Here we go. So you play this humorless sort of dour drinking game that you don't tell anyone the rules to.
It's like Ring of Fire, but no one has any fun.
So like Ring of Fire.
Yeah.
What's the United States equivalent of Ring of Fire?
I don't know. All I remember is King's Cup, which that's
I lose every
Similar.
time.
Similar. Everyone's a loser in these games.
You're right. Everyone is a loser. Who participates in the drinking game then? Who's gonna get smashed?
I think
I'll
Nora
join
would
in,
join
but I
in.
imagine it. Yeah, it's one drink. and I'm
Nora
done.
joins in.
Yeah, Lara will join in, seeing as how it's been 19 days of nothing, and she knows that they're about to go into the shit. Like, you got to loosen up at some point. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon Matthias descends from his room, like having heard whispers on the winds of this. This humor, this
Someone's
drinking.
having fun.
descend into heresy at any moment.
Yeah, just to make
I
sure
sense
no one
joy.
is having fun.
Yeah.
I don't think Nora would know the rules or bother trying to learn them. She would just drink occasionally and hope no one noticed. So, just shot back whatever this vodka is. So,
It's nice. But it's no dwarven drink, certainly. This is the night before the Emperor Leopold docks at Talgard, which is of course the slummy, sort of downtrodden wharf side to the great city of Talabheim. Talabheim is built inside of a large meteor crater, and so uses the natural earthen walls as well as man-made walls to kind of protect itself. And then there's a small dock that links the city with the river. You, however, will not be venturing into Talabheim itself. The Tunnelways coaching service, which operates out of Talabheim and operates most of the southern and eastern portions of the empire. You have a special coach waiting on you, commissioned especially by the witch hunters, although given the dangerous nature of travel, you will have another guest with you for a portion of your journey.
Jim, I've messaged you on the chat the viewer decision, just so you know. And do we know who this guest? Do we know who this guest is?
At the moment, the master that you're sort of talking to, the coach master that you're talking to, says, no, master, I don't know. Burkhard Haida is his name. Who he is, I'm not terribly certain.
Very well. I guess we shall see. I thank Heinrich as we leave. Thank you for your service to Sigma. And then I leave.
Thank you, master. I won't forget this. And he stares longingly at Matthias as the boat takes off
into the sunset. What can you see?
Yidris, who is kind of last off and kind of follows Matthias, just reaches out a hand with a gold piece in and just drops it and just expects the Heinrich to catch it and just continues on.
Let's see if Heinrich indeed catches it. I don't know what his agility would be, but I bet I'm going to say it's 20. That's 36. Unfortunately, the most money he's ever seen in his life literally slips through his fingers. That's Warhammer, ladies and gentlemen. Such is life.
It kind of like rattles on the deck and then just slides off into the water with a plop.
Yeah, this poor guy.
Poor
boy.
Alero, seeing this, she's gonna try to like secret a gold like into his pocket. Would that be a concealment or?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's either concealment or if there's the equivalent of a sleight of hand.
It might be an advanced skill. It's not a regular skill. I know that.
Yeah, it's not a regular skill. Then go ahead and make me an agility test at half.
At half, so that would be
half skill.
25. Oh well. No, I fail.
Oh.
Boy.
So he sees me trying to slip a gold into his pocket.
Okay, well he's experienced so many highs and lows within this brief departing moment, losing Matthias, losing some gold, gaining some gold. Heinrich clutches the gold crown that Alero passes him like it's literally worth more than his life, and rushes off into the bowels of the river barge to.
Before he departs, Alero will just reach down and say, "Use that money to train, and you can be like him one day." And then she'll just walk off. After that.
Also, I want to thank Forbrand gives Yidris a wild magic surge. The first touches
Uh-oh.
of chaos
Ooh,
and
First
warfare.
touches of chaos.
You know, I figure if
Alright.
you just pick up 4 d10s in Fantasy Grounds, then we can just take those 4 numbers.
Yep.
He's done it. He's
Do you know
solved
how to pick up 4d10?
it. Oh, yeah, mute Jolly.
So you left
Okay,
click,
how do I
hold
do
the
that?
left click. Left click
Right.
and hold it, and then right click 3 times. That's my roll.
I just right click it and you can select 4.
Yeah,
That's,
you
can
do
do
that
as
too.
well.
No, I've got too many. Go away.
Too many.
Too many. Right.
Oh no!
I got carried away. 1, 2, 3. There we go. So
Boom.
10, 10, 3, 10, 33 total. Wow,
That's
she rolled
what?
good. She's rolling
That's
like
30 0030.
1,131.
1131, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's a way to
Alright.
one way to read that.
we
You
go.
are encased from the waist down in a block of cheese. Good. Mine's the cheese.
And Nora like shout witchcraft and sort of...
Okay, so
rat.
I got this.
Bring it in whenever you want, Jim. It doesn't have to be right now.
Yeah. The party is debarking from the. It's something from the cheesy board.
Disembarking.
Listen, this is a serious song. It's only going to go downhill from here. And you see, there's a large crowd of something or other gathered, and there is a flash of something. A lot of ooh, you know, a crowd of perhaps 20 or 30 or so people, and you see there's on a makeshift stage, like a couple of crates and a box on top. There is a some sort of magician or something dazzling and wowing the crowd. Those of you, let's see, everybody who's observing it can make me a test. Excuse me. Go ahead and make me a intelligence test. Go with intelligence. This one. 6.
Okay, right then.
Right.
Just the 94
Rats.
for me.
Wow, 6 degrees of failure.
Let me check.
Little dice.
I think that is a fail. Yep, 32.
Can't
And
seem to roll
then-
on mine, sorry.
So far, it's only Yidris, which is appropriate.
Yes. The cheese caused.
Sorry, I'm struggling to roll it for some reason. Hang on, it's...
You can double click on the int on your character sheet, or you can pick up 2d10s and roll percentile.
I'll do that then. Hang on, it's... There. Did that go through or not? Sorry, I'm not very good.
No,
No,
2d10. There, it should...
So if you roll it in the dice roller and not on the map, if you like,
Yeah,
throw
like
it
roll it
in
on the
Okay.
chat.
Do it where the chat is, yeah, like the
Yeah.
window. There you go. We see one.
That'll do it.
Okay, that's fine then. Never mind.
36, that makes sense.
Oh, good.
So what is Nora's intelligence? INT is what we're looking for.
Yeah, the INT. So it is 27.
27. So that is a just shy of 1 degree of failure. So the rest of you are sort of, you see it and you don't detect any signs of actual etheric manipulations or calling upon the winds of magic here. This seems like a street performance of some kind, until Yidris notices something hidden in the performance, and there is a brief moment of disorientation on her part, and there's a wow of the crowd, and that is when, in fact, Yidris finds herself waist down in a block of, I'm going to go ahead and call this, oh man, my German is really bad, but I just looked up a list of German cheeses. So we're going to go with Handkäse, which is a type of sour milk cheese.
Obviously.
It's what Idris finds herself in. There's a wow from the crowd, and the person performing gets a look of sort of surprise and shock on his face as he looks and sees what happened to Idris.
So is this cheese kind of like a goat's milk cheese? It's kind of slightly jelly consistency,
Yeah.
or is this like a hard cheddar cheese?
It's like a runny sort of crumbly goaty cheese. It's
I
gonna
look to
sting.
Matthias.
Is he allowed to do that?
I look, my eyes just like beacon in on this dude who's just presumably cast magic, and I don't think he's a licensed magician. So I, stare down at him and point my finger at him. You there! Stop! And start walking towards him.
Okay.
And seeing that look in Matthias's eye, like Alero has seen it before, she immediately pulls her bow down and kind of goes around to kind of flank and get a better view on this guy and make sure he doesn't run.
So Nora goes to the opposite side as Alero and just pulls out her two-handed axe and more sort of rests on it rather than actually brandishing it. But yeah.
Yeah, you can
I'll
tell.
pull out my dagger. Sorry, go for it.
Dagger. You can tell for a hot second, a brief moment of panic, and almost runs off of his makeshift stage, but he sees a dwarf with a rather large axe and a mysterious figure with a bow and the telltale hat and garb of a witch hunter, and then he just like drops to his knees. It's just like, I didn't know what was going on. I promise I didn't mean it. And he just starts begging for mercy in the middle of a crowd.
Where did you learn how to do that? He said,
please, can I? And he, like, with his hand trembling, pulls out a scroll that he's got, and it shakes as his hand, as he holds it and hands it out to you.
I take a look at the scroll.
Please, someone sold it to me on the street. I didn't know.
As Matthias is inspecting the paperwork, Idris is just gonna stride through this cheese and just break free and join him on stage. And turn to the man. I suggest you buy a great deal of bread. You have a lot of cheese to get rid of. And there's just this hint that she's either about to kill him or he's just about to get off, unless Matthias obviously steps in and has a different idea.
Matthias is not having any of this. Like I think this is more so like we've just turned up in town and it's clear there's no law and order here, and these guys need an example of what law and order is,
Yeah, you don't really see any. There's a couple of watchmen. They're not paying attention.
I shoot them glares. Like, how could they allow this to happen? And they're next on the conversation list. And I turn to the crowd and says, "This man has been practicing magic. Most foul."
No, master, no.
Who sold you this item? Give me a name, and I will be lenient.
He called himself Gangolf. Gangolf the Magnificent. He's over there. And he points towards one of the side alleys off of the main wharf.
Do I need to roll something to see if this guy is just making it up? Do I believe in Gangolf?
Gangolf the Magnificent. Let's see. Oh man. I think this is probably, unless you've got let's see. I'd search something that would be like a sense motive type. This is obviously your dungeon master is quite prepared to run the game that he's running. I think it's probably going to be another intelligence test, just to sort of discern whether or not it's actually telling the truth.
That's a fail. 66 a fail.
Yeah.
Idris is gonna snap for him to empty his pockets. She wants to know what else he has on him.
Okay. He empties. He just starts emptying secret pockets and hidden pouches and the like, and it's full of like little magic rings and dice and cards and he's like a street perform, like a busker, right? It's full of all these kind of marked cards and loaded dice and trick rings and all that kind of thing. He's pouring his secrets out in front of the crowd, who's quickly dissolving and unimpressed.
Seeing Matthias's face, Idris is gonna say, "Have you ever heard of the chicken test?"
No, I haven't. What is it?
You better hope not to find out.
Is that? Am I free?
Oh.
And he looks towards between Matthias and Yidris.
But Matthias is like, as the crowd is dispersing, he's going to command them to stop where they are, and goddamn listen to this preaching that I got for them of the way of Sigma. So it is probably like a very brief sort of, that is why we will all follow the way of Sigma, not practice this heresy, and anyone else that I find who has practiced this, or if there is a gang golf, the Magnificent, then I will find him and I will track him down, and the pain which will come to him will be unimaginable from Yidris's knives. But this man here, he must be made an example of. You have not been... Good.
I was gonna say, you're just gonna pull out the manacles on cue and just manacle him up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is your name?
My name, Ansem.
I say, I now commit your soul to the flame, so that Sigma may touch you in the future. And I'm gonna, strike up a torch, burn his eyes and face a little bit, and then probably run him through with the sword.
All right. Summary justice delivered by Matthias. The burning of the body and slaying of this foul practitioner of magic. The crowd watches on grimly. Many of them dispersed, but some of them, including the watch who returned to see what's going on, look as the body of Anselm smolders in the street, and the air of sort of festivity and delight shatters into one of contained fear.
If anyone tries to leave during this and not wanting to look at it, Nora sort of pushes them back, as in like they have to see this. So she's sort of on the outskirts, just pushing people back into the crowd if anyone tries to leave.
Okay.
Can I glance over the crowd and see if there's anyone looking a little bit edgy or a little bit suspicious?
Yes, you may. Yeah. Let's see. This would be.
I've got a perception.
Yes, so it would be a perception test if you have it.
Need a full brand. I can get that.
There you go.
2. That is 3 degrees of success.
3 degrees of success. Yes. Rat looking around and eyeing the crowd. You do in fact see a rather wizened looking and nervous looking man in fairly tattered clothes, and he looks like probably lives on the street, and you see him looking about rather nervously.
I will send Mullet. I'll give him a command, and he'll wander over to Yidris, and I'll stand behind this guy, just kind of keeping an eye out, and I'm hoping that Yidris will look at me from seeing Mullet on his own.
Okay.
Does Nora spot this, or is it...
Nora spot Mullet or this individual in the crowd?
The maneuver that Rat and Mullet have done.
I would say so. I mean, I think that y'all have at least known each other long enough to know what each other's signs and cues are, and to look out for them. So yeah, you see Mullet travel from Rat to Yidris.
She probably just stands up. Beforehand, she was more sort of like leaning on her axe and just watching, but this time she sort of stands upright and doesn't take it in like an attack sort of stance, but makes it more accessible and backs up a little bit.
Okay. How about everybody else? The mood here is tense.
So you just will look from Mullet to Rat to see what's going on. because she was kind of distracted by the fact someone just got torched next to her, and she wasn't quite done with her questions. But she's not going to contradict Matthias right now.
He's going to try and casually just give a point towards this guy while having a scratch at the same time.
Yeah,
Alero
Alero
wild magic.
Yeah, Alero keeping a lookout from the side will notice that and draw a bead on the old worried-looking man.
Okay. Thanks to Rat's help, anyone who wants to spot whether Yidris, Alero, or Nora, you'll get a 20% bonus to your skill. It makes it an easy task. So baseline difficulty is just whatever your character profile says it is, but that can be adjusted up or down based on somebody helping you or something like that. So in this case, add 20 to whatever your base roll is, and then give me a roll.
Also, my wild magic search
perception?
from
we got
Mr.
another one.
Pokey is that my spellbook. I think that my spellbook is trying to consume my soul. So maybe I think my book of Sigma is trying to consume my soul.
Like a prayer
Or do you
book
have a
or something?
confiscated scroll that you think's about to eat your skull?
Oh,
You
maybe
do
the
have
scroll.
a
maybe the
confiscated scroll.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, okay, let's do it with the scroll. Yeah, Matthias is convinced that the scroll has evil intent.
Absolutely.
Was this a perception check, Jim?
Yeah, this is a perception check. Which,
okay,
if you are
I
not
passed.
trained in perception, you use half of your skill. Half of your
I passed.
Okay.
I also get plus 10% from my keen elf eyes.
Keen elf eyes. It looks like Yidris passed with a 26.
Yep, she got 36 intelligence, so she has the perception skill.
And then how about Nora?
Nora is only a 15, so hang on, that's. I think I failed that.
No, you can't. I think you
No,
would
there's
have
no
passed
way
that
you
one.
failed that. You got a plus
You'd have to
20% bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not right. So the three of you, thanks to Rat's help, see the same thing. Someone like maybe a beggar or something, tattered clothes, looking about rather nervously. There are a couple of people now in the crowd who have distanced themselves from this guy. You saw everybody, I guess maybe except for Matthias, who might be preoccupied with something else, sees what Rat saw.
Yeah, he was probably, doing a standard prayer of cleansing once the body is dead, and then tells them to disperse and go back to their homes and pray to Sigma.
Okay.
So Yidris is gonna. Sorry.
I was gonna say the crowd does begin to disperse once the witch hunter tells them to.
Yidris is gonna just reach out a long arm, and point towards the bigger man and say, "Stand forth, you who caused the death of this man," and kind of beckon him to come towards the stage.
He looks around, and if perhaps was younger, would make an attempt to run as well. But instead approaches forward. I'm Gangolf. Oh, I sold that man that scroll you have there, witch hunter.
Yes, you did. Where did you find the scroll?
It's been in my possession for a time. I was a former failed apprentice, if you will. And he, it seems to cause him great pain to reveal that.
How did you fail your apprenticeship? And she's going to be slowly moving towards him, so that if he even thinks about running, she's just going to flatten him to the ground.
I think the fires will stalk closer as well.
Okay.
Just clear the
Both of
party
you
up.
give me routine intimidate tests. Good grief, chest test. That's gonna be plus 10 to your ability.
Do I have the interrogate skill thing?
Intimidate.
Hang on. Oh no, I have the torture.
I should hope you
advanced skill. Yeah, I have intimidate, but I thought I had interrogate, but no, I didn't. Torture. I'm not doing that yet. Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet. Intimidate
6.
is 56 is my baseline. So no. 2 points of failure.
How about Matthias? I mean, he's intimidated.
Sorry, I forgot.
but he
I
might
forgot.
still
Oh
roll.
wait, sorry. You said a 10% increase star base?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a 1 point of failure.
1 point of failure.
I have.
Oh, wow.
Oh wait, what is intimidate based on
Strength.
strength? With a plus 10%, that is a.
Oh, you don't have your strength loaded up in there, does it?
No. I'm looking at my character sheet at the moment. Yeah. Nope. My strength is 34. Plus 10 is 44. So just one out.
He seems scared, but also is used to living rough and has clearly, probably been intimidated before. He doesn't seem like he's going to run, but he's not completely cowed and like on his knees begging like Anselm was. He seems more, I did it. It was me. I didn't know the scroll had any power left in it.
Listen,
Now the failure makes sense.
you better kneel down. And I'll kind of prod a dagger against his back.
Okay. Are the 5 of you surrounding him?
I think Nora's still keeping her distance a little bit purely in case he tries to do something no one's ready for.
How many other scrolls did you sell? How many others?
That was the only one I had. I didn't. I took it a long time ago and only recently sold it. Kept it.
If you're an apprentice, why do you only have one?
I was not very good. I couldn't master it, and I was kicked out for fear that my fumbling might hurt others.
Yidris will reach down to her leg and scrape off some of the cheese that's still clinging to it and just fling it down at him.
He eyes it like it's radioactive. Like he doesn't want to be anywhere near it.
Can I pat him down and feel if he's got anything in his pockets or any items on him?
Yeah. Rat goes to pat him down. You find a hidden dagger, sort of like in the small of his back, underneath some of his robes. There's probably 24 copper bits on him, like where they cut a coin into pieces, basically. And then just odds and ends, scrap, a cup, a bent fork, that kind of thing. He's rifling through them. Rat has known people like Gangolf here.
Yeah, Rat will stop for a second, realizing that one day you'd not the failed apprentice thing, but this was just how he lived his life, and the items would have been just like he had one day. So it was stopped for a second and chucked them down, just showing everyone what he had.
Yeah. What do you guys do with Gangolf?
Matthias lets Yidris lead the interrogation because that is her task.
Okay. Yidris?
Feeling that Matthias is obviously in the mood for business today, she will interrogate him along the lines of finding out about other magic users in the town. And it will vary between threatening and being hinting that he may be given some forgiveness for his part in this, but all the while just not looking at Matthias. She's concentrating on just kind of pushing his buttons and seeing what she can get out of him.
There is the impression you get from Gangolf is that he is resigned to his fate. I knew Anselm briefly, sold him the scroll because he seemed genuine interest. I didn't think it would come to any harm. I've lived a tough life, but I will accept what punishment now that you've caught me. But he mostly tells you that probably what Yidris already knows, that there are a lot of people doing minor things like this that you could spend the rest of your days hunting down, or there are several sanctioned magic users who are licensed and approved by the Imperial State that operate in the region as well.
Are there any hints of anyone that is kind of slightly above the, generic dabbling level?
There's not really like a
Lurking
middle.
around.
There's not really a middle tier
yeah.
there. Yeah, you're either a dabbler and just know a few tricks, or you've been trained. That middle tier is full of necromancers and demonologists and the like that tend to congregate in crypts and graveyards and secret places.
Right.
Places
There's no
that
hint as someone that would actively actually be of interest.
Yeah.
Just another foolish man.
Am I free to go?
Must also be put to the torch. I'm laughing, but Matthias is, this guy's sold magic items. This guy's taught other people magic in Matthias's mind. He's basically, Archaon on the Ever-Chosen in Matthias's eyes. Like, he's looking at, a Chaos Warrior in front of his eyes.
Yeah. And he is also an admitted thief.
That's true.
Yidris will reach out a hand to stop Matthias before he tortures this guy, and suggest we manacle him and suspend him from some high place as an example for those who would delve into causing chaos by dabbling on their scope.
I agree. All must
in her head, she's thinking the town will probably cut him down in a few days, but she's not going to say that.
The spread of chaos, it works its way into one, small at first. It is men like Gengolf who thinks that they're safe. The little touches here and there, the little selling of a magical item, and before they know it, they are committing great acts of heresy. It must be stopped at the root. The cancer must be lanced out. Gengolf, I submit you to death. Sorry, guys.
As you said, this place is lawless. How can we bring law without example?
Yeah, and you guys are just in the slums of the city.
There's anime proud eyes in Matthias right now. It's just yes, we must kill people.
We really have to. Oh, I love
Warhammer. It's so dark. Absolute punishment. Let's leave a more lasting reminder. Fire is transient.
What is that last bit? A more lasting reminder?
There should be a more lasting reminder. Fire and death are transient. And so she's still going on there. We should string him up. We can maim him if you want, but I don't think we should just burn him to death on the spot. That's not going to leave a lasting mark.
Nora's already done that. Nora's sort of like, you could brand him.
Before or after he's dead?
Whatever you prefer. Either way, he's going to die at some point.
Okay, then Nora, see if you can find a blacksmith around. And get a nice hot poker. Rat, build a little pyre here so that our friend Gengolf will burn with all of the rage of Sigma. And Yidris, if you can pull him up with Valero's help, and I will set fire to this filthy heretic.
Can Nora go and see if there's a blacksmith locally, please?
There's plenty of blacksmiths nearby. A branding iron can be found. A fire can be built. So you guys, if I understand you right, you're gonna brand him, you're building and then you're gonna burn him and then set him up as a trophy.
Yeah, I don't know what I like what I did it with. It seems really gratuitous to brand him, but it seems totally something that Matthias is into.
What we could do is if we brand his head and we burn everything but his head, we could just have a skull with a nice brand.
And then it will just represent the.
Yes.
This is what happens to you if you're a witch.
This is our trademark move.
What Yidris will do is she'll get the manacles from the man that Matthias has already torched, somehow very effectively, because it's actually quite hard to burn bodies, but Matthias was determined.
That burns it even hotter.
With great care with her gloves, she'll remove the still hot manacles and she'll put those on Gungor.
Okay.
And tell him that it's probably best if he lets the fire cleanse the lies from him. Because the truth is what's gonna burn.
Yeah, he
wants to burn fast.
Yeah, he doesn't necessarily burn fast. He is quite he screams. It's a painful and long death. But after the ordeal, you have your trophy, your satisfaction at having rooted out heretics and sorcerers, And if I understand you right, you now have a head, or sorry, a skull, or the head.
I think the head, like,
The whole head.
but this gal
Put
stab
the
it
head
in
up on a
water
plank.
so it doesn't catch. And
Gotcha.
it can just be a bit melty. That'd be alright.
You can just like dip it in pitch, and that'll keep.
Plus, a head's just creepier than a skull. If it's
Very
not
true.
on.
Very true.
Got to put that above the gates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a nice little decoration.
And excuse me.
And we're the good guys, by the way.
This is what I love about these kind of scenarios, because you can give players, you're like, here, you can literally do whatever you want. No one can, the guard can't do shit. You can go in a noble's house, fuck with them. I don't, you know. It always pays beautiful dividends.
Well, Gongo for Spanning, you're just gonna wash the rest of this fucking cheese off of herself.
Yeah, it's bad.
She's got caked in stinky cheese.
Yeah, caked in stinky cheese.
It's very undignified.
Yes, there is. The crowd has thoroughly dispersed, and you go about your grim work along there on the dock side as the stevedores and porters, unload and load up boats, and the rest of the town of Tallgard goes about his business. You leave behind your grim trophies and warning to avoid the temptations of chaos. Good grief, excuse me. And make your way towards the tunnelway coaching, where the coach master informs Matthias that there will be a guest on this particular trip.
We run into a little bit of business. Thank you for waiting.
Real reek of cheese and barbecue.
Right. It's I saw earlier that. And he genuinely looks at Matthias and he says, thank you. It is difficult in these trying times to find men who will do what is right. And he looks at the rest of you, as well as women and others. He gestures to the dwarf, elf, and halfling in the party.
Just to be inclusive, everyone.
Just gets a
just
look.
Yeah. Please, if you wish, we can leave as soon as you are ready.
Yep. Matthias nods. We're ready to go. Thank you.
There is a gentleman waiting in the coach with you. The coach is a rather large affair to be able to fit the six of you, although it is cramped. You find that the sort of the official sanctioned coaching lines of the Empire maintain these rather oversized coaches that ferry important people to and from the urban centers of the Empire. The coach master warns you that the road is rather rough, quite muddy, and it should take perhaps a little bit longer to get to our destination than expected, but you'll get there safe and sound. And unless there's any last bit of business in Tallgard, you board the coach and begin making your way south along the old forest road into the deep primordial woods of the Great Forest.
By the way, Jim,
Sorry.
Yes.
did we bring, like, if we had horse as a trapping, was that brought down on the barge with us?
If you had horses as a trapping, then that's probably something that you could ride one now. You could have gotten it in Tallgard, picked it up there. Or it could have been, the river barge has a hold large enough for animals if you have like a horse that Alero is bonded to that you would have brought.
Yeah.
Yeah, does anyone else
Yeah.
have any mounts or anything like that came with their careers? I think it's just Scout, right?
Yeah, no mounts. I considered buying one, but then I thought,
Yeah, Alero will go ahead and mount her horse.
Okay.
She doesn't like the idea of being in a small, cramped space with a bunch of people. It's bad things happen.
Understood. There are two other outriders that accompany the coach as well. They are they wear the livery of the coaching line, but they have the sort of countenance and forbearing of soldiers or mercenaries. And there is also an armed guard literally riding blunderbuss on the coach next to everyone. So there are 3 guards along with the coachman himself, plus the rest of you in there, and Alero riding along outside. Your travel companion, Burkhard Hyder, is you see as you enter the coach, immediately can tell that he is wearing the holy symbol of a priest of Tal, and is dressed in the simple homespun clothes and leather garments of that priesthood. Tal is, of course, the king of the forest, and sometimes referred to as the king of the gods. One of the oldest gods in the empire. Tal is revered in sacred places like groves and springs and waterfalls. His religion is a rural religion, and along with his wife, Raya, they govern most aspects of agriculture, hunting, and the like. They're incredibly popular in the south and east of the empire. He seems a pleasant enough fellow as you get in.
If he's a holy man, I give him a nod of respect.
Yes. Hello.
Greetings.
I did not realize I would be traveling with witch hunters. I will stay out of your way.
Thank you. And we will stay out of your way.
Well, I am traveling to Hermsdorf, south of Leszek, so it will be a long trip for me. But never fear. I have no wish to tangle with the witch hunters. And he, for the most part, keeps to himself for those first couple of days. Much like the cabin, or the cabin ride down on the river barge, the days are monotonous and slow. Immediately south of Talgard, there is the road goes from rough cobblestones to just deeply rutted dirt road. With, for the most part, it's clear the snows have begun to melt, and those of you keeping watch on the side of the road or riding outside of the main coach can see that the snows are now limited and confined to just gray and dirty clumps underneath the trees, with the road itself being a muddy morass of a road. You travel south for 2 days in a bumpy, sort of rocky kind of trip. You pass through several other small villages along the way. Each one that you pass through is smaller and dingier than the last. The inhabitants of it being less and less sophisticated the further away from the big city that you get. And on the 3rd day, Alero can make me a perception test because you are outside of the coach. Everyone else, unless you're specifically, say, riding on top of the coach to get some fresh air, can't really get a good view of what's going on outside.
Alero can also roll a wild magic surge from Catalyst.
Okay, that is a pass. With 3 degrees of success because it's a vision test. So,
yes.
Yep.
And I'll go ahead and tell you what you see as you're rolling up that wild magic surge. Alero sees a humanoid figure in the trees. When you first spot it, it's difficult to make out, but there it is. You know, there's no leaves on the trees yet, nothing like that. It's just bare branches. You think you can see someone perhaps standing in a tree, or waiting in a tree. What do we got here?
Okay. Yeah, she'll just kind of slowly keep an eye on that person, and then slowly, casually work her horse back towards the carriage.
Yeah.
And just, Matthias, there's someone in the trees. She'll just kind of whisper into the carriage.
Also, your wild magic surge is that you refuse to handle any blade that hasn't drawn blood. It's cool.
Okay, well, keep using my sword then.
Sure. How handy.
Matthias will sort of, I guess, call a carriage to a halt, knock on the top of the carriage or whatever way we have to stop it. Did you see who it was, Alero? Or what manner of man or beast?
It looks like a human.
And once it comes to a stop, she'll rein up her horse and tie it off on the carriage and hop down.
Okay. Yeah, it's perhaps 50 feet or so ahead of you around a curve in the road. Those with Alero's help, you don't even need a test to see it. If you step outside and sort of follow where Alero's pointing, you'll see it as well. Who gets out of the coach?
Can I climb on top of it? Can I climb out the window onto the top of the coach?
Yeah, no problem.
And Alero will slink off into the woods and conceal herself.
Okay. Go ahead and give me a concealment test then.
You said about 50 feet away, Jim?
Yeah, about 50 feet away. And Matthias, Nora, and Yidris, are y'all out of the coach as well?
Nora knows she's not stealthy in any way, so if she does step out of the coach, she makes it look as if it is for casual fresh air, not for that she's spotted anything or been told there's something.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd say it to them. It could be bandits or could just be a road watchman, but nonetheless, it is be on our lookout.
Okay. And how about Yidris?
She's kind of sighed that the coach is slowing, thinking that we've probably just opened ourselves up for an ambush. And with rats scuttling out on top, she's just gonna sit tight and listen, and just kind of pull her flail out from under the seat and just wait.
Okay. Burkhardt stays in the cabin as well. He's not getting out, although he notices Yidris's movements and seems to kind of sit up and start paying more attention to what he was doing. The guards of the coach fan out and form sort of a one person watching ahead, one person on the side, somebody looking at the back, just to make sure that there isn't an ambush. Alero, you rolled your... Oh.
Yeah, I failed.
Yeah. It's tough, right? The ground is a mix of... The snow conceals a lot. And it's not nice, compact, fluffy snow. It's more ice and debris than anything else. So it's difficult to make your way quietly in the bare woods with a lot of mushy, unseen debris on the ground. But as you get closer, you can spot three figures, and they don't appear to be standing or hiding. They in fact looked as though they are perhaps tied or somehow attached to the tree.
Oh, okay. Seeing that, she will actually step back out of the woods in more of a casual manner, not on guard, and catch Matthias's eye. They are hanging. I think they might be dead.
Perhaps bandits
And-
strung up.
Start moving towards them to see what the deal is.
Okay. Alero moves forward. Anyone joining Alero?
Yeah, Matthias is up there.
Matthias? Everybody else staying where they're at?
Yeah, I'll hold point on top of the carriage, just doing a
Idris.
360 view, make sure nothing's coming in from behind.
Idris will stay put with our little guest.
Gotcha. And Nora's still just outside, casual like. I think you might be muted.
Yeah, sorry. Nora's gonna stay by the carriage in case this is like a lure to get people into the woods. She doesn't want anyone ambushing the carriage.
Okay. Matthias and Alero walk up to what you see. As you pass by the bend in the road, you can see full view. You would have seen it as you pass by, that there is three bodies. They have been stripped of all of their clothing, all of their possessions, and they are in fact nailed quite gruesomely and crudely to a large tree that dominates this part of the forest. Their skin is pale and nearly blue. The blood from the wounds that they've suffered is dry and almost black. Their eyes have been pecked out, as you can see. But that is the scene that Matthias and Alero see as they round the bend on the road.
Looks like bandits, perhaps? I cannot. My eyes are not as good as yours, Alero.
There could be bandits. Do not know what is around this area, whether it's a village or brigands that did this.
Yeah, you guys just passed through the village of Ukrafort, which was like this morning, basically.
So the others stay behind. Alero, can you search them? See what kind of men they were? Are they armed or just peasants?
Yes. And you said they're nailed to a tree. How about how high up are they?
Not too high. The lowest one is about 4 feet. They're between 4 and 10 feet up in the tree. And like I said, it's not it looks painful. As you get closer, you can tell that some of them have tattoos and other sort of markings on them.
Okay. Do they? I mean, they look dead. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Well, then she will scramble up the tree to try to get a closer look at their tattoos, and just a better look at them.
Yeah. They all three of them have very similar tattoos, twin-tailed comets, some of them with the hammer emblem incorporated into the twin-tailed comet. Alero spent enough time around Matthias and some of the others to know that these are the holy symbols of Sigmar, the god of the Empire.
They were devout of Sigmar. This is probably the work of witches or the corrupt. It smells of heresy.
His face just falls. Who could have done this? This is a blatant act of hatred against Sigmar and all that is holy. There is more at work in these woods than we feared.
Does Matthias up there close now?
Yeah, if Alero sort of calls back that these guys were, witch hunters, he's up there to see if he, maybe even recognizes some of these guys.
You recognize the tattoos as being emblems of the Templars. Those are the militant order of the Sigmarite Church. A great many of them work hand in hand with witch hunters, particularly the more religious bent. I will leave it up to you whether Matthias knows any of these gentlemen.
Maybe knows of them, that they were there was a cell in the area.
Yeah.
But they might not have been under Krupp's,
command.
Handling. Yeah, command, yeah, so.
Yeah.
I knew of these men, but I did not know them well. Whoever managed to kill 3 witch hunters in these woods, that is a power of chaos far stronger than a hedge wizard who can conjure cheese. Alero, we must... Well, actually, I only ask because I don't really know, but I know in 40k, when a space marine dies, you've got to get their genus and shit. Is there anything that we have to take, heraldry or...
There probably would have been holy symbols and perhaps other relics that they had with them, but they are literally 3 naked dead men. You see no objects of any kind. So you might want to, say, recover a holy symbol or something, particularly because potent holy symbols or holy symbols from particularly pious individuals can be perverted and turned to dark purposes. But you don't see anything like that with them.
I yell from the carriage, is everything okay?
No, this is not. And I sort of stalk back to the carriage and say, there are 3 dead witch hunters there. They have been killed and nailed to the trees.
Shall I cut them down or shall we leave them?
How fresh are they? when do you think they died?
That's probably a question for Larry. Or like, are there any tracks in the area that we can find as well, there, or perhaps the those guilty fled?
Okay. Yeah, she'll hop down and start looking around for tracks. But as she
Yeah.
passes Matthias looking, she will just catch his eye and be like, "The gloaming sign, Matthias. The gloaming sign." And she'll start looking for tracks.
Yidris will pass Alero and take over the cutting down duties, because Alero has more important things to do than cutting down the bodies.
Okay.
Can I whistle for Mullet to jump down? He's got keen senses and can trail, so I'm hoping if it was potentially fresh, he might be able to pick up the scent.
Yeah, the bodies are not fresh now.
Okay.
Whether the wounds that that they suffered as they were nailed to the trees are old wounds. As Yidris is bringing them down, you notice almost immediately that these are also the only wounds they have. They have no marks of battle on them. The only fresh wounds they have scars and the like from previous battles, but they have no. They look like they died here, nailed on the tree, probably.
How does one capture and stop 3 strong men without leaving other marks on their body?
Not just men, witch hunters as well, Templars. These men in life, they had the power of Sigmar coursing through their veins. And there are 3 of them, and there is one of me. And whilst I have you as my band, they were all anointed holy men. Powers granted by Sigmar himself. Whoever did this is likely far more powerful than us alone. And Matthias looks a little bit, shaken by seeing 3 of his dead brethren in the field.
Mm-hmm. Alero, give me an outdoor survival roll to find the trail.
Okay. God, most of my rolls have been over 80. Nope.
Oh man, yeah, it's tough, right? You think you've caught something for a brief moment, tracks of some kind, humanoid. They head southeast-ish, maybe parallel to the road that you're on, but within 10 yards, you completely lose the trail. It runs through a pile of dead brush, and it'd be impossible to track this many days after making that trail.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Matthias. The spring melt is causing the tracks to disappear.
Then the perpetrators will escape justice for one day, it seems. We must find who did this. We'll go to Obelheim. That seems like the source of our investigation lies there. And we'll bring whoever slew these good men to justice.
So you've cut down the bodies, you've taken them down. Burying them would take the rest of the day. The ground here beyond a sort of soggy topsoil is still quite frozen. So it would take a while to properly bury them. After a while, once it's clear that it's not an ambush and sort of what's going on, Burkhard, if I may suggest, in my faith, we leave the bodies exposed for the wild. It is sacred to give back to nature what you took from it in life. I can perform the rites.
That would be a great favor to me.
Sigmar has received their souls. Let Tal attend to their bodies. And he blesses them, ensuring that they will not rise as the hungry dead, and leaves them in a shallow grave just off the roadside.
Yidris will go to Matthias and say, I understand now why your punishment is so total. I had not seen before the lengths and the breadth of the crisis that our world is facing.
This heresy is far greater than any of us knew. It's taken the lives not of just any common folk today, but that of chosen of Sigma, and this will not go unpunished. But this is why we do what we do, my friends. This is why we exist, so that this can never happen, and will never happen again. So, come with me now. Let's go to Obelheim, and let us bring justice for Sigmar.
For Sigmar, you leave behind the shallow graves and the gruesome tree, and continue south along the old forest road. I think here is where we'll wrap up and find out next week as our heroes, grim as they are, will find when they get to Obelheim. Whew! All right.
Ooh, nice. Great job, everyone. That was awesome. Fuck yeah. Well, my friends, that is where we're going to end tonight's episode. The first episode of Warhammer Beneath Dark Boughs. And if you enjoyed it, please do let us know in chat. Thank you guys for all of the follows and donations throughout today's game. That was awesome. Chat's been absolutely killing it today. It's been great to see so many of you guys hanging out with us and enjoying some Warhammer. Yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. It's been fucking awesome. If you enjoyed the show, hit the follow button and join us and stick around, because in a couple of minutes' time here, we've got Star Wars Rise of the Dark Side Episode 1 premiering here on Encounter Roleplay. So don't go anywhere, because you got some more action coming your way. And of course, myself, Jim, and Pruitt will be over on WebDM. Not WebDM, we'll be over on Save or Dice. And that's where we'll be playing. D&D, all of the names, all of the places, all the things. So let's go around the cast and crew real quick, and let's figure out if you enjoyed yourselves, of course, and where we can find you guys online. Let's start with Pruitt. Great job tonight as a lever. I loved it.
Oh yeah, it's so much fun. At least you didn't jump down a volcano chute, but that, it's a long campaign. It remains to be seen. I had a great time. It's so much fun. I love Warhammer so much. It's so dark. It's so fucking dark. So I can't wait to come back next week. And yeah, I look forward to some Saber Dice with you there here in a bit.
It'll be a good palate cleanser.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Charlie.
That was so much fun. It was way easier than I thought it was going to be, considering all the new stats and things. And also way harder. We went from, 0 to total brutality very rapidly over some cheese. And I don't think I'm going to look at cheese in the same way again. But no, I had a great time. Thank you so much for letting me join in and letting me play. I will be playing some D&D tomorrow over on Young Jinx's channel at 8 p.m. GMT. If anyone wants to come watch me play a more heroic and light-hearted game. This is pretty serious, but it's not quite this dark. So that's where I'm going to be. But yeah, thank you so much for letting me play.
Great stuff. Thank you, Charlie. Jim Davis, great job tonight. That was fucking awesome. It was everything I hoped it would be and more.
When we talked about doing a Warhammer game, you're like, let's do witch hunters, then we're going to do some witch hunting. So buckle in. I love Warhammer. I love being able to return to it. It's been too long since I've last played it. And I like the just the grim brutality of it is fun to swim in occasionally. I am, of course, co-host of WebDM along with Pruitt. You can find us on WebDM. We should have a video coming out today, maybe. We are also on our own Twitch channel on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 Central, playing Starbound, Land Between Two Rivers. We've got a whole bunch of other stuff. We're online. Find us somewhere and we'll talk to you.
Great stuff. Let's see. Alice.
Yeah, that was so good. That's my first introduction to Warhammer, and I absolutely loved it. I love how dark it is and how dark all of our characters are, and just don't give a damn, like, at all. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes and how much darker it's probably going to get. But yeah, like, I really, really enjoyed it, and I look forward to the next session. You can normally find me online on Twitter under White Rabbit Pick, which is mainly my photography business page. However, I do lots of D&D, and DMing over on Scraticus's channel, as I am his other half. So, but yeah, no, I absolutely love this. So thank you for inviting me.
Great stuff. Thank you, Alice. And last but most least, Gareth.
You're never gonna give in with that, are you? This was amazing. I felt just like Rat, like so many people that are really good at doing what they do, and there's me just kind of sat smiling and wondering what's going on, and everyone doing it so well. It's so good. As soon as Jim started talking, I was like, "Fuck, this is going to be an amazing campaign," and everyone's getting fully into it. And so far, this campaign, I've stolen 2 biscuits, and you guys have burned 2 people alive. So.
I knew when I
about
threw in gingerbread that it's got a like halfling bait.
You know what?
Hey, they were burned biscuits, so you're still kind of halfway there.
Well, you're like they're walking with a sack suspiciously. I'm like, I'm following these fuckers. And no, they just were making gingerbread. That's the biggest plot tease I've ever seen. But it's amazing. I'm Gareth. I just play here, and it's wonderful. And seriously, Will, your channel, like the new upgrades are looking fucking fantastic. Like so many people in chat are appreciating it. They look really, really good, and it's awesome. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Well, my friends, that was an awesome premiere for Warhammer Dark Boughs. Me, Jim, and Pro are going to head over to where. We're not going there. We're not going to Webdian. Apparently, my subconscious really wants to go there.
We'll get you, Will. We'll get you eventually.
We're going to go to Save or Dice to stream some D&D, but stick here to get roleplay as well if you want to catch some Star Wars action. Episode 1, Rise of the Dark Side is premiering here tonight, and you're going to have a bad boy Grant as your host for tonight, so strap in tight, my friends. It's going to be a hell of a ride. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, try not to roll too many nat ones, because we want to be here laughing when you do. Good night, everybody. Bye.